You know, when you're in the grocery store and you see that organic label, you probably feel like you know what it means. But what if the whole idea is a little different than we thought? Today, we're diving into a farmer's pretty bold claim that really challenges how we define organic.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. This is the statement that started it all, from a farmer named Samson. Organic farming is not natural farming. Wow. I mean, that's a provocative thing to say, right? It pretty much goes against everything most of us have been told.
So, the big question is he right? We're going to break his argument down piece by piece and see how it holds up. Think of this as a little myth-busting for your next grocery run. Let's see if we can separate the real talk from the noise.
All right, first things first, let's look at where the farmer and the facts are actually on the same page. Because, and this might surprise you, on a couple of really big points, he's totally spot on. His first point is that organic isn't some magical, naturally occurring thing. It's a term, a word that humans came up with to describe a very specific, regulated way of doing things. Basically, he's saying it's a system with a rule book. And on that point, the verdict is, without a doubt, accurate. He is 100% correct. This isn't really up for debate. It's just a fact of history.
You know, the term itself was coined by one of the founders of the organic movement, Sir Albert Howard, and it absolutely is a regulated system. It's got strict rules that ban stuff like synthetic pesticides and GMOs, and it's all about promoting things like healthy soil and biodiversity. So yeah, he's totally right. Organic is a human definition.
Okay, his next claim is that the thing that makes food organic isn't some abstract vibe. It's a formal process. It's inspections, it's paperwork, and at the end of the day, it's a label you can put on the package. And is he right about that?
Yep, you guessed it. Totally accurate. That is exactly how the organic system is designed to work. In fact, you can't legally call your product organic without that certification.
And here's how it works. It's actually pretty straightforward. First, a farm has to follow all those official organic standards. Then, an independent inspector, a third party, comes in and checks everything. Only if that farm passes the inspection can they get the right to use that official USDA organic seal. It's all about accountability. So, up to this point, he's made some really solid factual points. But this is where his argument starts to get a little muddy. This is where we start seeing some serious flaws mixed in with the facts.
Now, this is where things get really interesting.
And kind of weird. He makes this claim about seeds, saying that heirloom seeds aren't natural because of their genetic diversity. Just let that sink in. It's a super confusing and frankly contradictory statement.
And as you probably figured, our analysis finds this claim is just, well, it's flawed and pretty misleading. It seems to come from a fundamental misunderstanding of what natural even means from a biological standpoint.
And this chart just lays it all out perfectly. On one hand, the farmer is arguing that having genetic diversity is what makes a seed unnatural. But the source material clarifies that genetic diversity is literally the hallmark of nature. It's the very thing that makes those heirloom seeds more natural than the super uniform hybrid seeds. He's got the logic completely backwards here.
All right, let's look at his last big claim. This one's a statistic. He says that organic food makes up only 5% of all the food produced in the entire world. So how does this number stack up? Well, our verdict is that it's likely overstated. He's in the right ballpark, I guess, but the number he's using isn't quite right. When you look at the actual data from 2021, you can see his claim of 5% is a bit high. The reality is that about 1.6% of all agricultural land in the world was used for organic farming. It's still a pretty small slice of the pie for sure, but getting the numbers right is important. So now that we've taken his claims apart, what's the real issue here? What is this debate really about? Well, it's not actually about farming techniques. It's about words. It's a debate between the organic label and this idea of a pure state of nature. And this really gets to the heart of it. The main conclusion from the source material is that the farmer's entire argument is basically a clever play on words. He's technically right when he says organic is a label, not an untouched piece of wilderness. But that's a rhetorical trick that kind of misses the whole spirit of the organic movement. There's a name for this kind of thing. It's called a semantic argument. It's what happens when a debate gets stuck on defining one specific word, in this case, the word natural. instead of actually talking about the real substance of the issue. It's like he's arguing about the dictionary, not about the dirt.
So it all boils down to this. There are two different ways you can think about the word natural. One is that pristine, untouched wilderness, a state of nature that, let's be honest, no farm can ever truly be. The other interpretation is about being aligned with nature's processes, working with the ecosystem. Organic farming is very clearly aiming for that second one.
Okay, so after all of that, what's the bottom line? What does this actually mean for you next time you're trying to decide what to buy?
Here's the main takeaway. That organic label isn't trying to make some deep philosophical claim about being perfectly natural. It's making a practical promise. It stands for a set of transparent, regulated, and verified practices. You're paying for a process you can trust, not a poem about nature. And that really leaves us with one final thing to think about. When it comes to the food we eat, what do we actually value more? This impossible idea of a perfect, untouched, natural state, or the real-world benefit of having transparent standards that we can actually count on? That's definitely something worth chewing on.